Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be making a peach pie, a double crust peach pie to be exact. So I went to the farmer's market today and they had the most beautiful peaches, and I remembered that I made some peach pie filling, my brown sugar peach pie filling that you can watch a couple of videos back. I posted it and you can make that and freeze it ahead of time. So I made that and I froze it. And then I saw these peaches at the farmer's market. I'm like, oh, I want to make peach pie. And then I also remembered that I had 2 packs of the all butter pie crust that I love from Bake From Scratch. So I had 2 packs of that, my peach pie filling. I'm like, it couldn't be more simpler to make a peach pie because I have everything ready. So I'm going to walk you through how to make it, and I'm going to make a double crust peach pie. So that means there's a crust on the bottom and then a crust on the top. But I'm going to do like a lattice top, so it's going to be a little decorative. So this is what you need. You need your peach pie filling that you can get the recipe a couple of videos back. I posted that. Or any kind of pie filling. And then you need pie crust. You need enough pie crust dough to make 2 crusts, a top and a bottom. And I will link the recipes that I love and have used over the years for pie crust. And you can use one of those. So you want that. And then you need a pie pan, and this is just a glass one that I love, and it's nice and deep, and you need that. And then you also need a rolling pin to roll out your dough, and some flour, and maybe a pizza cutter. So let's get started. Oh, and make sure you preheat your oven to 375 degrees because we're going to blind bake our pie crust so that it stays nice and crisp and doesn't get soggy. So when you blind bake it, you also are going to need some pie weight. So I just use some dried beans, and that's it. So let's get started. The first thing is you're going to want to flour your work surface with just a little bit of flour. If you have one of those like pie crust roll-in mats, it tells you, how thick it is. You can use that too. I don't have one of them, so I'm just using flour. So you just want a little bit of flour, and then my pie crust is, it was frozen solid, so I let it sit out for about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So it is a little softer, easier to roll out, and you just want to make sure you got enough flour on that. I'm using a simple French rolling pin right here, and I'm just going to make sure I flour that. And then I'm just going to take my time rolling it, and you want to make sure you turn it as you roll it out so that it doesn't stick, and every once in a while you like to flip it all over and roll it out this way. So this is my all butter pie crust. It's not mine. I used a recipe from Bake From Scratch, and I just doubled the recipe so that I have a crust for the top and the bottom. And I actually made this pie crust a few months ago, and I just kept it in my my deep freezer for when I was going to make pie, because I just had a little extra time and I figured why not. And I had intentions of making apple pie, but I never got around to it. So I'm making peach pie today. So I'm just gonna roll it out until it's nice and not too thin, but until it's at least the size of my pie pan and enough to go up and over. So once you got it as big as you feel you need to, you're just going to grab your pie pan, and then you're going to carefully place it in there. And it's okay if it rips, because you can always patch it up. And I rolled mine out a little too big, but that's okay. So you're just going to carefully press it into the bottom of your pie pan. And then whatever left over, I'm just going to grab a nice sharp knife, and we're just going to trim it around. So it is going to shrink up a little bit in the oven, so you don't want to trim it too close to the edge. Once you got your little knife, you're just going to cut around, and don't you dare throw these pie crust pieces away because you can make like pie crust cookies with it, and just like cut them up and have them for like ice cream and do it that way. So I never throw these away. I will just put them on a baking sheet, bake them up with some cinnamon and sugar, and have little pie crust cookies for my kids. So I like a nice thick crust on the outside. So I'm just gonna fold it over first, just like so, to create a nice thick edging. And this is going to help seal it. So I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees. This part doesn't have to be pretty because we're gonna make the rest of it pretty. So don't panic about that. So 375 degrees, but before you do that, you're gonna wanna put some parchment paper into the bottom of your pan and put your pie weights in it. Your parchment paper, and just stick this in there. And then you can get pie weights, or you're like me, I just use some dry beans that I have, that I actually only keep these for pie weights when I'm baking pie. So you just put them in there, and you want to make sure that it's spread all the way out to the edges so that nothing flakes up. And then you're just going to bake this for about 10 minutes. As the pie crust is baking, I'm just going to get out my second piece of pie dough, and I'm going to start rolling this out the same way. It doesn't have to be as big as that one because this is going to be for our lattice. And yes, you can obviously start with these scraps, but because those are a little more warm, I'm just going to start with this. So again, you're going to flour it and you're going to roll it out. You're going to try and keep this one a little more like rectangular, I would say, just so that it is easier to get straighter lines. And you're going to do the same thing, just keep rolling and turning until you get it about a 1/4 inch thick. You don't want it too thin. Once you got your second pie crust all rolled out, you're just going to set that to the side on a floured surface. And then we are going to create the lattice for that in a little bit. So I got my pie out of the oven. What the pie crust looks like when you get out of the oven, like I said, it will shrink a little bit, but don't panic. It will be fine. So from here, you're just going to dump in your pie filling, and you can use whatever pie filling you want. This is my brown butter, vanilla bean peach pie filling, and you're just going to dump it all in, as much or as little as you want. And how delicious does that look? And I think I might actually dice up a couple more peaches and put on top of there, the ones that I got from the farmer's market, just to make it a little more voluptuous. Just added a couple more peaches, just chopped up 2, and they're really ripe, so I'm not worried about them being too firm or anything like that. I also put my pie pan on a baking sheet in case it overspills. It's not going to get my oven dirty. So now I'm going to switch spots and get my pie crust ready so that I can, those are my kids singing, so that I can make my lattice. So I have my second pie crust all rolled out, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we're just going to be making strips pretty much, and you can make them as thick or as thin as you want. I kind of like about a 1/2 inch thick, and you're just going to slice them. I find using a pizza cutter is the best option, and you're just gonna make cuts all the way down. If you want it to be precise, you can measure them out, but I like rustic looking pies. That's what you're getting from me, is rustic. Does anybody else's kids sing to YouTube? Okay, so once you got your slices, your strips, you're just gonna take one and drape it across your pie. I like to kind of go, you know, from the edge to the edge. And then you're just gonna drape as many as you want across your pie. And you can always trim off these edges and save them for the smaller portion of the pie, like down here if you want to, but I'll just keep going with this. And like that, and then one on top. And now it's gonna come time to weave it. So you're gonna start with one, and then you're just going to lift up every other strip. Gently place it down, and then fold it over like so. And then you're gonna do the same thing. Just keep switching and weaving them in and out like that. It's just easier this way than trying to lift up each individual one. And one more, and I'll use one of these short pieces. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's expecting perfection here when you're making a pie. So let's see, we'll do this side now. And if you mess up, the benefit is that you could just lift it up and start over again. There you go. And you can do as many or as little as you want. I'll probably do one more little piece right here. Okay, so once you have it all done, I feel like this piece needs a little bit more. Once you have it all done, now you're just gonna seal up the sides. So I like to just drape it over and pinch it. You can take pie crust and go around, so I'll probably do that. Just take some strips and go all the way around like so. And you can do whatever you feel you want to do around the outside. But like I said, I love pie crust, so I don't mind a nice thick pie crust going around. And just do that. Again, it's rustic. I'm not expecting perfection with my pie today. This is not going to be entered in a contest or anything like that. So once you got it all how you want it and everything is sealed, now we're going to brush it with a little bit of the egg wash. Some egg wash here. This is just a little bit of egg white with some water. And I'm just going to brush it over the crust portion of it so that it gets nice and crispy. You can use egg yolk, you know, whole egg if you want to. I just like to use egg whites. And just like that. Simple. And that's just going to give it a nice crust. Nice golden crust. No, don't play with it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Swedish pearl sugar that goes on top of it. And this is non-melting. And it's bright white. And I got it from King Arthur. And it looks like this. And all you do is you just sprinkle it on. And it's going to give it a nice sheen to it when it bakes up. So I just like to add this on there. And these are really good for pastries. You can use some like that turbine, the really coarse sugar on there also if you want to do that, or regular white sugar works also. There you go. And then it's going to go in the oven. You're going to lower the temperature of the oven to 325 and you're going to bake it for about 45 minutes to an hour. If you need to wrap the outside of the crust, you make sure you can do that, and I'll show you how to do that. So of course I have it with some vanilla ice cream. So let's take a bite and see how good it is. All right, make sure you make this, guys, and make sure you follow me, like my video, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you make this delicious peach pie. It's so yummy.